All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today, Powering Learning with Technology. Just looking at how and what Microsoft solutions can be able to do for K-12 institutions. So, a very, very warm welcome to you. And my name is Edwin Alo, and I'm the Microsoft Solutions lead here at Sibasi, and I'll be your host. Today as we explore how technology can help academic and academic institutions to be able to, work smarter, scale faster, and deliver greater impact. And we usually say in our webinars, we are usually getting for three things. Number one, we'd want to really make these particular sessions very engaging. So feel free to, tell us where you're coming from, joining us from, and also feel free to, leave some comments and some questions, clarifications concerning what we're going to be talking about today. Number two, we're looking at, making this sessions educative in terms of, bringing you up to speed with what, Microsoft is doing from a tech perspective and how you could be able to leverage that as an organization. And lastly, we are here to empower you, not just give you the information about the news, but then take it to the next level, how you can be able to integrate these particular tools to be able to deliver your mission. So this is basically a very practical, session today that we are having, and we are very, very glad that you are joining us here today. So I'm hoping that you're grabbing your cup of coffee or tea or whichever suits you. I think it's a cold morning here in Nairobi. I don't know how you feel there, down there in South Africa, Salome. And what's the temperature there?
Uh, it's freezing here. I actually even don't know the temperature. I just literally get up in the morning and I actually never check the weather, but for interest's sake, it is, oh, sorry, just now 17 degrees. So
Whoa,
there you go.
wow. So I'm guessing you have your
Yeah.
cup of coffee or cup of tea,
Yes,
right?
I've got my
Warm
cup of
cup.
coffee ready. Yeah, apologies. I also see my Wi-Fi just quickly dropped. So
No
apologies. I
problem.
had to like pop back in. So when you said, Salome, how's the
Okay.
weather? I was just like, it's fantastic. I'm back.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. So thank you. Yeah. Amos, how is it?
All good, all good. I've just seen David posted that he's transcribing the session into French. Very
Oh.
interesting and a pleasure. I think
Very
I
cool.
only know bonjour, 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 David. That's where my French gets
Bonjour.
to. But pleasure connecting.
Bonsoir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, we
Right.
can actually greet today. We can go bonjour, comment ça va? And then,
Ah.
Wow.
yeah, and that's as far as my French can go. Uh,
I think for me, yes, the translation is going to help my French because, yeah, all English here. But it's very good. Yeah, very, very good. Warm welcome to everyone who's joining us. Yeah, feel free to tell us where you're joining us from as well. It will be good to have that particular information even as we continue. But just a bit of housekeeping, even before we get started. We usually get this particular questions, is the session being recorded? And we'd yes, like to affirm that yes, the session is being recorded, and we'll be capturing all the highlights that we're going to be discussing today. And so you should expect a polished recording delivered into your inbox within 6 business days. And like I mentioned, we usually love to have an engaging session. So please feel free to make use of the Q&A section or the chat section. Whenever we are making the particular presentation, feel free to ask your questions or clarifications. We're trying to make this session as practical for you as possible, and so please feel free to engage us. We have a whole team, as you have had them introduce themselves. I didn't hear, by the way, Lavender, you didn't tell us how you're doing this morning. I don't know if I missed that particular bit. Yeah, but we have a whole
Good morning,
team.
everyone.
Great. Great to hear from you. Yeah, and just yeah, so we have a great team here that is waiting to engage you also in the chat section. So whatever question you have, whatever clarification you would need from us, feel free to drop it in the chat. Yeah, so again, a very, very warm welcome to this particular webinar today. And so before we get into the agenda of the day, I would want to, Amos, we could probably run a quick poll and just figure out who's in the room and, from an academic institution perspective, what's your role? What do you do? What are you looking to learn from us today? So probably you can run that poll, Amos.
Sure, just give me a second. Also, I think for those who might be joining us and may need some translation, there's also the option on Teams to select that you turn on the interpreter, and it will assist also with the interpretation. That could also assist. Yeah, so the poll is up.
All right.
Let's see. I think there's 3 questions. One is, what type of institution do you represent? The other one is your role. And another aspect is how confident are you about your institution's digital readiness? Just to give us, I think, a good glimpse of where we stand. Yeah, we have one response. Let's see. Primary or secondary school. Excellent.
Right.
That should be the K-12 institutions. Right. Actually, all the responses are around primary or secondary school. Excellent.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's great.
That gives us the tone for the conversation today, and how we can be able to tailor this around what they would need. So thank you so much for participating in this, and very, very warm welcome again. So just without any further ado, I'd want us to start off this session on a high note, and we have none other than Miss Salome Goa, who is the Microsoft Sure Step Ambassador at Foresight, and Salome is really, really passionate about, helping K-12 institutions and basically academic institutions to unlock the power of technology. And so she would be basically, setting the tone for today's conversation in terms of what Microsoft has in store and the things that we're going to be able to leverage from Microsoft in a technological perspective. So, Miss Salome, feel free to take the stage.
Thank you so much for the warm introduction, Edwin. It's much appreciated. I'm going to quickly share my screen, and in the meantime, I can do an introduction of myself while the page loads. So my name is Salome Goa. I'm the Microsoft SureStep Ambassador for the nonprofit and educational segment within Microsoft. I got my main focus is assisting CSP direct resellers such as Subasi in empowering nonprofit end customers as well as educational institutions with Microsoft licensing. Oh, now see, as I shared my screen, it popped off the Teams. That's not a problem. I could at least try a different way to share if this doesn't work, but it should. There we go. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, it's come on.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so in today's conversation, it's not only going to be about licensing costs, but about how Microsoft solutions are specifically designed for schools and academic institutions. So many schools across Africa are still operating with legacy infrastructures, on-premise servers, traditional volume licensing, and fragmented systems. The educational sector is now moving towards a secure cloud-first environment that supports collaboration, cybersecurity, very important, AI readiness, and hybrid learning, and long-term sustainability. And this is where working with the C-Spring direct resellers such as Subasi becomes extremely vital. I don't want to even say valuable, it's vital, especially if you want to remain in a certain budget and make the most out of your software. So Microsoft Elevate combines nonprofit and education initiatives into a unified program focused on long-term impact. Oh, apologies, my screen keeps on stop sharing. It's annoying. I literally share and then suddenly it like goes off. Apologies for this. Loading my screen again. Then we can hop on to the third slide. This is where I was. No, I was on the second slide. Okay, so it's one program, as I said. So this again, it goes off. I'll have to share it another way then. Apologies. I'm going to go from current slide and then I will share it a different way. Thank goodness I am a professional team sharer by now. I don't know how I would. Yeah, no pressure. Okay, cool. I just sort of quickly edit this. So can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. Okay, just making sure you could just see my slides, right? Okay, perfect. Apologies for that. So it's a unified program, and this includes cloud transformation, AI skilling, cybersecurity, and educational enablement. So through Elevate Academy, Microsoft aims to help millions of people gain AI-related skills and credentials. For schools, this is not simply about technology procurement, it's about enabling digital classrooms, securing collaboration, and modern learning experiences and operational efficiency for your students. I think in today's day and age, I don't think any school has the option not to opt for cloud licensing. For cloud licensing is coupled with AI learning and AI empowerment. And as we know, and as tedious as it sounds, AI is the future for our youth, and it's going to be a part of their day-to-day structure, and it's best if you incorporate it sooner rather than later. And then going on to my third slide. So one of the strongest advantages within Microsoft Education licenses is the student use benefit ratio. So for every qualifying faculty license, schools can provide up to 40 student licenses at no additional cost. This makes Microsoft Cloud Solutions highly accessible at scale. Microsoft 365 Education also includes tools specifically adapted for schools, including Teams for Education, OneNote, Class Notebook, readiness programs, Intune for Education, Microsoft Defender, and accessibility and learning tools. These solutions help schools support remote learning, classroom collaboration, secure device management, and responsible AI adoption. And I must emphasize on responsible AI adoption as a system. For if you do provide students with AI learning, you want to make sure the AI adoption is done so responsibly. So compared to maintaining traditional on-prem environments, many schools find cloud licensing significantly more practical and sustainable over time once server maintenances and upgrade cycles, backup infrastructures, and security tooling are taken into account. So this is one of the most important areas to understand within Microsoft educational licensing. There are generally three key components: faculty licenses, student use benefits, and student licenses. Faculty licenses are assigned to teachers, administrators, IT staff, finance teams, and operational users. These are the primary paid licenses within the environment faculty users typically require: desktop applications, advanced security, administration capabilities, device management, and AI functionality. So the student use benefit licenses is where Microsoft Education becomes extremely valuable. For every qualifying faculty license, as mentioned, schools can provide up to 40 student licenses at no additional charge. So it's one faculty licenses equals 40 student use benefit licenses for free. So for example, schools with 50 faculty licenses could potentially support up to 2,000 students. So student licenses are specifically designed for learning environments, collaboration. Students can also use these tools as Microsoft Teams for education, OneDrive, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote, Class Notebook, assignments, and collaboration tools. This allows students to securely learn and collaborate from virtually anywhere. So many schools still rely heavily on perpetual licensing and on-premise exchange, as I said. Local servers, aging infrastructures, and manual management processes. While those systems may still operate, they often bring ongoing maintenance demands, as I think you'd know. Hardware refresh cycles, backup and disaster recovery risks that are very high, and inconsistent security and scalability. It's very difficult to scale up from an on-premise or a volume licensing environment if you're running your licenses on-premise, to put it simply, on a physical server, because Microsoft is increasing the pricing for that infrastructure, for that licensing model, should I rather say, the on-premise licensing model, by the month. So on-premise and VL will not become more cost-effective, for Microsoft is pushing clients to go to the cloud. However, I must mention that with that being said, there's a beautiful thing called dual use rights. So when you want to opt for dual use rights, you don't have to give up your on-premise environment to go to the cloud. You can have both. And I would definitely prompt you to schedule a one-on-one session with Sibasi to learn a little bit more about that, because I'm simply doing an introduction today. So working through a C-SPIN reseller such as Sibasi provides additional value because schools receive licensing guidance, they receive migration support, local assistance, and adoption services. And when I say adoption services, in terms of adopting to the technology that has just been installed on your device, and obviously ongoing optimization. So many educational institutions across Africa are also sorry, my slides keep on. Anyways, to close, I see there's a few double parts of my slides. So to close, the educational sector is evolving rapidly. I must say, I'm based here in South Africa, and I do see a high influx of public schools putting up tenders for Microsoft licensing, because they realize if they don't catch up or adopt AI, other schools will, and it may cause it to become the less competitive school within the district, to put it simply. So schools are no longer evaluating technology based only on upfront licensing alone. The focus is now security, scalability, operational efficiency, AI readiness, and modern learning experiences. Microsoft Elevate, together with your CSP partners such as Sibasi, helps schools modernize in a way that is practical and supported, very important again, financially sustainable. So, and many institutions discover that moving away from aging on-premise infrastructures towards the cloud services can be significantly streamlined in a long-term operation while improving the overall educational experience. So to get a quote or to get perhaps an evaluation of your environment, I would highly suggest to schedule a one-on-one session with Sibasi, as they will guide you and hold your hand through every step of the way of that process. So thank you so much. This is me. I'll hand back over to Amos and Edwin. Thank you.
Wow, thanks, Salome. Let me just be sharing my screen even as we try and transition here. Yeah, thank you for bringing us up to speed in terms of what is happening from a text perspective. And I think for me, my takeaway from your presentation is the fact that we cannot avoid the whole AI readiness even for education institutions. So it's somewhat of a conversation that we need to have, and how we can be able to leverage technology and have our academic institutions AI ready in a sense, to be able to make sense and have a lot more impact from leveraging technology that is AI ready. So thank you so much for that. I know even as we transition, I wanted to ask you a question with regards to licensing. Have you encountered academic institutions that are using commercial licenses and commercial pricing, and is that something that happens?
So many. I'm so happy you brought that up, Edwin, actually. So many. I'm busy sitting through a list of customers at the moment that are running educational and even non-profit licenses. Well, they're running commercial licenses whilst they're on an educational entity, while they should be receiving an educational discount. And to just emphasize on the pricing, you can get an up to a 75% discount on your cloud licensing. So you're really doing yourself a disservice not opting for cloud at the moment. And it is the future, it is the way, and also keep in mind, let's say your business central infrastructure where all your accounting software lies, that you don't need so many different components as you would with the implementation when it comes to your cloud infrastructure. It's much more simpler, it's much more straightforward. I think it will be a breeze to install. But going back to the licensing point, so when it comes to the verification of your licenses, and apologies, that's the one slide I see did not populate on my PPT deck, is we'll be happy to kick off your verification process from our end. All you need to do is contact Subasi and we will kick off that process for you. And it's quite simple, quite straightforward. All I would need is your company websites, and to please advise me if you are a higher educational institution, meaning a college or a university, and then K-12, you'd identify yourself as either primary school, like from grade 0 to matric. So that's how you can determine which one you are. But if you're not too sure, you can reach out to Subasi. We'll gladly guide you through that process. And then before you know it, you'll be hopefully approved as an educational institution by Microsoft, which will lead to you qualifying for those discounted licenses.
Right. Yeah. So I'm guessing that's some good news for those who are joining us on the call today. If you are probably, leveraging commercial pricing, it's a good time for you to get in touch with us, and yeah, let's have a discussion on how we can be able to, get you having access to that up to 75% discount on the licenses. And I like the fact that you said, one particular faculty license, would license 20 students. So there's a whole lot more that can be done on that particular regard, and also just making sure that our schools are tech prepped, which is really, really interesting. So thank you so much, Salome, for taking us through what Microsoft is doing even for the academic space, and the things that our constituents here today on this particular call can be able to take advantage of. Right. So before we segue into the next bit, right, I think Amos, we have another poll, and we just wanted to understand from those who are joining us today, what are some of the biggest challenges that you have currently, from a technology standpoint, so that then it would help us to be able to shape how this particular conversation would run going forward. So please take some time and help us to get some insights in terms of your organization. What's your biggest operational challenge today? Right? Is it managing student data? Is it communication across departments? Is it about reporting and analytics, manual processes and paperwork, which is a headache for basically any institution that we have interacted with? Is it about systems integration, AI readiness, or do you have any specific challenge that we could be able to address on this call, or probably even be able to schedule a more one-on-one in-person session later to be able to understand that? So I don't know, Amos, what are you getting on your side? Are there any results?
Fantastic. I see we have one of the common challenges is around manual processes and paperwork. AI readiness, I think that's a big one. And also looking at the tools that the different teams, different representation on the call actually use. There is actually 50-50% usage of Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace. So probably Google Classroom and so forth. That's excellent. I think it seems we're already on the digital path.
It's great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic. At least there's none that says you're not using any tools at all. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. All right, just let me know, by the way, if you can see my screen.
Yes, yes.
Awesome. So basically, from our conversation today, like we've mentioned, the whole idea is trying to see how can we be able to make sure that our institutions are, AI ready, and especially for whatever we're talking about today, educational institutions. How can we be able to, accelerate AI transformation, in education? And so, first of all, we're looking at, students. How can we be able to make sure that, we all know that, we're moving beyond a one size fits all with regards to teaching. We're talking about making, tailored learning paths that adapt to each student's pace and style, and then also creating a more engaged, more effective learning environment where every student gets the support they need. So that's the first pillar on what, AI transformation in education would look like. The second pillar would be around, your institutional innovation. This is about transforming how the institution itself operates, right? Yeah. So from admissions to, and administration of how the faculty and the students interact, AI can streamline workflows and reimagine the entire campus experience, right? The third is around, simplifying and securing IT. None of the two pillars works, without a secure foundation. So we need to be protecting student data and learning environment, right? And this is a non-negotiable, right? And we need tools that make security easier, not harder for IT teams. So we know in education facilities, we usually have a lot that is going on in terms of your hardware and your software, and we'd want the staff teams that are working for, let's say, for example, in the IT department, to have an easy time with regards to managing of those particular devices, and also to not have sleepless nights in terms of things around security and all that. And we're going to talk about that even as we continue with that slide. And this is where we come in, as Sibasi. As Sibasi, we say that, we are an innovative and AI native technology company, and we are focused on delivering practical, high impact technology for today's digital era. And we are really, really driven by a passion for excellence and quality, right? And all this is usually geared to empowering our clients, you yourself who's joining us today, to achieve measurable success through the right mix of services, solutions, and trusted partnership. I think one of the things that Salome was mentioning is the fact that, Microsoft has these great grants, right? And it wants to extend this, to our constituents who are in the call today. But how do you get to access this? So Microsoft works, with distributors, which is where Salome works at Food Foresight, right? And the distributors work with us as, partners to be able to now get we are the point of touch between now Microsoft and yourselves, right? And we are able now to help advise you in terms of how you can be able to have the right mix of services, solutions, right? And basically leverage the partnership. So as Ibasi, our mission is, like we've said, basically is at the heart of our name, which is services and solutions invested and integrated into your business for you to achieve success and have an impact. And basically what this looks like is, on our services and solutions offering, we have three particular offerings that we're looking at. Number one is what we're calling the intelligent business platforms, and we're going to have a look at what this would look like, especially now from an education perspective. So we have things around your board management from an administration perspective, right? Apps to do that, apps around monitoring and evaluation of programs and projects that you're running as an institution, things around ERPs, for example, your finance teams. How are they running, their operations, right? There are already platforms that are already AI native, right? That could help to be able to run that. But the other beautiful thing that we have in this particular portfolio is the fact that we have an e-learning system, right? That you can be able to leverage on and, be able to cascade, education from an online perspective and have people joining in from different parts of the world and getting access to what you are actually offering as an institution. So that's one of the pillars and the solutions that we have at Sibasi. The other one is around Microsoft digital transformation. So probably you are using Microsoft right now, but you're probably not leveraging everything around it. Yeah, so that's where we come in. We try and figure out what we can be able to set up for you. Productivity systems. How are you using the tools that you have there. Things around business process automation. I think, Amos, I heard you mention that, most people are struggling with manual processes, right? So that's one of the areas that we try and come and look at. And I'm going to be showing you one or two applications that you can start leveraging on based off of the licenses that you already have, or you've already purchased as an educational institution from the Microsoft grants that are given to you. So those are the things that we want to be looking at, and things around, of course, they are now taking it to the next level with regards to AI, robotics, and data analytics system, right? How to be able to visualize your data and all that, right? So that is with regards to a Microsoft digital transformation bit. So let's say, for example, you're in the Google Workspace form and you'd want to be able to come on to the Microsoft ecosystem and leverage the things that Microsoft is providing. That is now where the third pillar comes in. Now we are able to come in and sit down and, size, look at what you're currently having. And some probably have, you probably have too much infrastructure than you need, or you probably have too many licenses that you need, or you probably need to be able to transition to the cloud. As Salome has said that, we are looking at a cloud first approach. That is where the world is going. And so you would need us to be able to help you with this particular digital transformation journey from an advisory and consulting perspective. So we sit down and we are able to map what are the things that you need, and especially from a security standpoint as well. As we're implementing technology, you realize that security has to be core, has to be fundamental to how we are running our institution. So these are the three pillars and services that we offer Sibasi, and we're extending this, to educational institutions to be able to, enable you to deliver, impact to your constituents, right? And so you've had the conversation around AI, right? We're talking about how we can be able to convert manual processes. We're talking about a lot of the departments or, the departments around our organizations. We have data sitting everywhere, but we need and we want to leverage AI. So what do we need to do in this particular bit? The quote here is that AI is only as good as the data it trains on, right? And the whole idea would be, how are we able to now, from a particular perspective, now drop what we have on our left, right? Move from disparate silos, right? Where we are having different departments having their own databases. We do not know, what finance is doing. We do not know what the faculty is doing. We have no idea, around all the operations of the organization. Yet there's a lot of data that is sitting there that is able to help institutions to make decisions towards, the future, right? So we're trying to break down those particular silos. We're trying to make sure that we do not have multiple Excel sheets running everywhere, right? When you're trying to figure out what's our student count, what you have from finance is different from what you have in faculty, and you can't really be able to get all that. And the last bit is, because we are dealing with people's data, we need to ensure that that data is protected, right? So at the base of this is that we have to make sure that we are security compliant, right? So once we achieve all this, once we have unified all this data, once we have cleaned up our Excels, we've cleaned up our databases so that we have one source of truth with regards to faculty, with regards to, the students, with regards to operations, and we have ensured that we are secure, then now we can be able to start utilizing AI. Before we build this particular foundation, AI is not necessarily going to help your organization. And that's what we want to be showing us today. But now another interesting thing, statistics that we found is that, did you know that amongst the top institutions that are being targeted by hackers, and we're talking about government hackers, we've heard about the likes of countries, the North Koreas and all that. And what we have seen is that things around education and research institutions are part of the top targeted, institutions in the world. And the reason why that is happening is because these are think tanks. These are people who are coming up with technology, you're coming up with research, and it's informing where the world is going to go to next. And people are trying to leverage and get a fast pass at this particular information through the back door. And so that is something, when you're thinking about security as an institution, this is one of the bits that you need to have in mind, right? That our education institutions and research institutions are targeted and are highly targeted, by social engineers and hackers. And so we need to be able to also account for security as well. And those are some of the perks that you get when you're getting the Microsoft licenses. And I think Amos is going to go deep into, what are the perks that you get with the licenses that you have, especially from a security perspective, so that the IT departments within your organizations can, run the operation smoothly without having to hyperventilate right around it. So this is something that we found really, really important as a statistic. But just to go on, today we just want to showcase the breadth of solutions, some just, high level of what we can be able to get from a learner's engagement perspective, a learner and teacher, teaching and learning outcomes. What are you be able to leverage, right? What do we have within the Sibasi hood, right? And then the other things around, operations and government. So when you're talking about learning all the way to administration, right? We'd want you to be able to see what you can be able to leverage as a platform. So I'm just going to be transitioning slowly into some sample demos of what we can be able to see, right? So I don't know if you can still see my screen, Amos.
Yes, we can.
All right. So this is one of the applications that we talked about, one of the solutions that we have, which is called OpenEdX, and we are able to now build here a learning management system. And what this allows you to do as an education institution is for you to be able to, put your courses online. You are able to share that. You are able actually to go an extra mile and monetize, right? So you could actually have courses where people can be able to work off online, and you are able to get money out of that. So it's almost like it also increases your revenue stream. So this is a platform where you can be able to now expose your courses. You can dive in and look at, what the course is all about. And if you're happy with that particular course, you can come in and enroll, where you'd have now, given in your credentials to sign in, right? And if, let's say, for example, somebody needed to pay for that and all that, then I would have added the payment channel on there. And now they figure out that they're already enrolled. And when they're in there, they can now, go in and view the course, right? You can now be able to, so this is a way for you to be able to administer. Now it can be used at any particular level. Let's say, for example, you are in the K-12, or let's say, for example, you are in your primary or secondary. This could be a way for you to be able to pass your assignments, right, to your constituents. Your homework, right, can be digitized, because that is where, our technology is going right now. Yeah, our students are on gadgets, right? So you can be able to now utilize the platform to be able to, extend education. So have their assignments. You can go in and you can have the modules there. They can be able to see the progress, the days, the teams, the instructor. You can be able to have all this within this particular view. Now, one of the interesting things about this is now an application that you can be able to host as an organization, as an educational institution. And I know that Microsoft is already offering grants also from an Azure perspective, also for educational institutions. So this is something that you can almost take into the cloud immediately and have that extended, to your constituents, to your students, and all that. So this is one of the solutions that we are hoping that you would take advantage of as an institution, to be able, number one, to grow your revenue, and also to be able to digitize how you do learning as an institution, right? So that is within the learning management piece. The other piece is around, when you're talking about things around manual paperwork. So one of the things that we've always seen is around petty cash. Right. So you're looking at how am I able to, make sure that we record this well. So what we've seen with most institutions is that, you'd have a petty cash book somewhere, somebody comes and signs in, it needs to go for approval and stuff like that. And we just have lots and lots of paper trail. We cannot run analytics on that particular paper trail, right? So it means that somebody needs to come and transcribe that into the system, and it just becomes more and more. So from an administrative perspective, the other things that you can be able to leverage is what we call the Power Apps license that comes on board with the licenses that the faculty get, right? With those Power Apps licenses, what the things that we can do is we can now start building such particular applications, like this particular petty cash application here, which can now start showing you things around, what are the outstanding advances that you've given out in terms of money that you've given out for people to go and spend or probably buy something and come and account for it, right? Reimbursement, somebody has spent beyond what they were given and they would want their money back and stuff like that. You can come in and now build a simple application like this where people can be able to track their expense. Of course, when you're tracking expense, you need to give evidence. So you can be able to upload that particular receipt, right? You're able now to give the description, give the amount, and it's reconciling this based off of an advance that you are given. So here you are starting to get a very, very neat trail in terms of what is happening with your cash flow, right? And then you are able now to see a log of, how things are coming in and going out. And this is just a simple application that can be built in a matter of days for you to now get transformed from, your manual paper trail to, a digitized system. And then now you can come in and now start seeing reports, because this is actually what most institutions and most decision makers want to look at. What are we spending most on? We're spending most on maintenance. Then what is happening in this? And we can now start looking at over time, slicing and dicing and seeing what is happening within these particular areas. And also now this helps in the decision-making bit of it. So from somebody who is in finance, this could be something that now they could start leveraging really quickly. The other bit is also from let's say, for example, you are in HR. Because the other thing we have seen is also that most people, when you want to leave, again, there's another paperwork that you would need to sign in, go and, see your boss, and then they get to sign on that, and then it's filed somewhere. We cannot have a track of who's on leave, right? So you probably want to assign a class to somebody because, and you find out that, that person that you wanted to assign is on leave. So what can you do? You can also be a staff leave tracker, right? Here you can come in, you can be able to submit your request, you can be able to view your request. But then you can also be able to have a dashboard where you can be able to see what is happening, right? How many pending requests are there? How many have been approved? How many have been rejected? Have a calendar view in terms of now you being able to see, who's out on leave all at one glance without necessarily having to, check your mails or check the out of offices and stuff like that. So it makes it really easy and intuitive for this. And these are just but a few applications that we just wanted to showcase that we can now quickly and easily, build using the license that you have, right? And so what that helps you to do, it now helps you to automate and to digitize. Once you do something like this, then it will lead us to the next bit where we are now looking at things around reporting, right? So because like we said, AI is only as good as the data that it's grounded on, right? So if we do not have that data in a digital format, then we are not necessarily able to run reports like this. So this is now how our report would look like. If you have the student management system, that is now where we are starting to surface our data from. We are able to see, the enrollment versus new students, the students by their stage. We could be able to have, if they have locations that they stay at, because I know most of us, you said we are coming from primary and secondary, you're probably running bus routes and all that. You'd be able to now be able to zone where the students are coming from. And, something like that is very, very interesting. That's data that you can actually have and see where most of your constituents are coming from. The other bit is now around students. You can be able to now see in terms of the students themselves, right? What's their academics, what's their performance. You are able to see all this in one particular dashboard. What are their interests, right? How often have they been out, of school and class, right? And what are the reasons? So these are good things for you to see, right? The other bit is around teachers. Right now, you can be able to have metrics in terms of the teachers, who's teaching what, how many students, the teacher-student ratio, what is the average attendance, because I know this is something that we're usually looking at and all that. So because we are storing this data somewhere, this data is grounded somewhere, then we are now able to leverage things like Power BI for analytics. which is part of also the licenses that you get on that, you're able now to go further ahead and look at what are the retention rates for us as an institution, and based on the years, and we can be able to say, are we doing well on this particular bit or not? And also the other bit is now from a financial perspective, and I know this is key, right? We'd want to see how much revenue is coming in, right, at any particular point in time, and where are we getting this particular revenue from, profit and loss and all that. Power BI allows you to be able to get data from different systems. You probably have some data on Excel, you have some data on your ERP, your financial system, you have some data in your student management system. You're able to bring all that data and have one report that is able to give you all these things. So that is the beauty of you being able to leverage Microsoft tools at the moment, right? If you do that, if you ground your data, have your apps built in, transition from manual to, digital, and also now make sure that all your data is clean and all up in there, then now we can start running analytics on it. Now we can now go a further level and start putting Copilot on it and say, what is going to be, doing things around forecasting, because it can now look at the trends of the data and tell you, by the way, we're looking to make this particular amounts, we're looking to have these particular students, we're looking to do A, B, and C, because you have the data grounded. That's the message that I have for us today. Let's take advantage of this particular tools. If it's something that you're interested in, of course, have a conversation with us today. But I have just shown us, the tip of the iceberg. I think Amos would want to show us what the licenses look like, and then what you could be able to do with them. But I think what I'd want to leave us with is, even as we go on to the next slide, is the things that you have in store, right? These are the things that you have in store. From a productivity perspective, you are covered, with your applications. We are having a license application. Now, I know many institutions will probably get the things like volume licensing, or you get your open licenses where you buy ones, and so you are running probably on what, 2019. And right now we're in 2026, and so for you to upgrade that, then you need to again buy another set of licenses. Once you get on this, all your Office licenses are licensed, right? So you do not need to worry about the latest version. You're always running on the latest versions. There's a lot of things that can be able to do. Probably, I don't know if Amos is going to touch on it from a SharePoint perspective, where you're going to do your document management. You have one platform where you can have all your documents in there. Things around Intune. Let's say, for example, you're running a lab that has machines, right? And you're giving access to your students have machines that are coming in, and you'd want to be able to manage that. That is a very, very good tool that allows IT admins to be able to, manage, devices without necessarily having to walk desk to desk or machine by machine. Of course, you're able to license your operating systems, which is something that is very, very important, because if you're not running on the latest, then of course you're predisposed to security breaches, right? Of course, we've talked about AI. Right, you can now start taking advantage of things like Copilot Studio, and I think this probably might do another webinar in terms of the things that we can be able to extend. Things like student admission, we can be able to have agents, run that process through and through without the interventions of human, cutting on staff costs, right, and being able to make that process very efficient. The other bit is also around, licensing now for some of the applications that you need. Probably you need something that is able to, look at the people who are interested in your institutions, probably now managing that particular funnel in terms of who is coming in, the intakes that you have, and all that. You're looking at, managing things around your business, right? Your finances, right? So you're looking at applications on that. Microsoft has you covered. And the bit that we need to insist on this is the fact that all these licenses, you're getting them at an educational institution price and not commercial. If you want to go and check the commercial rates, you probably won't invest in this particular licenses as an institution, as an educational institution, because we also know that budgets are something that is very critical. But because you have this particular advantage as an educational institution leverage, please make sure that you do that. But I think I've done a lot of that. Amos, please feel free to come in and show us what is under the hood with regards to the licenses that then our constituents get.
And thanks so much, Edwin, for that. That's quite the details, and it's what we are hoping we can get to showcase. Yeah. So within the education set of licenses, you get quite a lot of solutions, and there are many solutions that Microsoft provide. I think you've covered really a lot on, and I saw when we were starting out, some of the attendees within the webinar are administrators or organizational heads. And in this case, I think you've hopefully seen, the many kinds of automations that are possible. We didn't even get to go into the enterprise resource planning solutions, your ERP. There's a lot that also can be done on that front, whether it is managing student records and in a consolidated system. Now, I'd want to show you, what does the A licenses, which is academic kind of licenses, actually cover. Edwin, you mentioned, I think, something about that this it's actually cheaper. So if you already approved as an educational institution, the A1 license comes on as free. There's a limit to the number of licenses. Then there's A3, which gives you, your desktop applications, gives you and I'll get to showcase what you get really with that. And then there is per faculty per month, that is a specialist kind of a license. And if you have a huge volume, then we are there to assist as a partner, in giving you the correct kind of solution. So this is having this in mind. Let's get into seeing, how does that more or less look like in terms of what you're getting out of box with this set of solutions. So just if Edwin, you can confirm for me that you can see my screen and you can see now the browser.
Copilot?
Excellent.
Right.
So how do you get to this? You just would go to office.com, and within office.com, then I had signed in already as an account called Remote Administrator. As I said, I think some of the representation, most of the representation that we have in the call are at administrator level. So this would ideally be more or less a learning section. And there's many things that we can do with this. If we were to just go through each of the solutions, it would take a bit of time. And I think, Edwin, you've rightly mentioned that, when it comes to things like Copilot, there's a lot that we can talk on that front. Okay, so what the learning section allows you to quickly find information or ask questions. I know most of us are already familiar with using ChatGPT or Gemini or even Copilot, for those who are already in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. For those who are on the Google ecosystem, you're probably familiar with Gemini. I know that, and I won't go into a lot of details with that. Where I'd want us to look at is around the list of the applications of what you get within the Microsoft ecosystem. So as I mentioned, that particular license called the A3 license gives you desktop applications. So I know most of us are familiar with Word, Excel, PowerPoint. If you'd want to actually, when you log into your Microsoft Windows desktop or laptop, that the same license actually gives you the desktop applications, then that's the A3 license. That's what it means. That basically you get access to the Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and of course, all the other tools that come in within your desktop application. I'll touch a bit on the Word aspect and some of the capabilities of what you get on the A licenses. But let's start off. If I am a trainer, and in this case, I would be a teacher, then there's this aspect that is called teach. This is very specific to the academic kind of licenses. So when I go into teach, there's many different things that I can be able to see. The first aspect is that I can do what we're calling the lesson planning. I know this is one of the aspects that most of the teachers in schools actually might be having as a challenge. How do you do the lesson planning? And you need to keep updating that. So it gives you an aspect where you can go into the lesson planning. Also, there's this other key aspect of something called Minecraft. So I know most of us might be educators, so we might not be very familiar with the kind of applications that our students get to use for enjoying. I don't know whether you've heard of Roblox and Minecraft. These are some of the games, but it's interesting interesting that within the education sector, there are some institutions that are quite advanced in terms of how they're doing the training. And just to confirm, I don't know whether I shared with the sound. Just allow me to share with just double check that I shared with the sound. When I'm sharing, I add sound. You'll just double check if you let me know, Edwin, if we can be able to hear. Is it audible?
Yes, it is.
All right. So just get to see how some institutions actually are using Minecraft again.
We are born learners. We crave new challenges and new adventures. Our creativity is limitless. And when we learn through play, amazing, often unexpected things happen. In schools and in homes around the world, students are using Minecraft to build cities, explore coral reefs, to create with code, run science experiments, and to tell fantastic stories. Minecraft has always been about exploration and discovery, bringing together a global community of co-creators. Now, the next generation of engineers, biologists, and designers are inspiring us with their creations. Minecraft Education Edition empowers learners to solve problems they care about, to connect in new ways far beyond the classroom, and to build a better world through the power of play.
Yeah, so in case you didn't know that that students can actually use games to learn and explore and not just as a leisure kind of an approach, and especially because I know most of the kids nowadays are very used to being on the phone, then this becomes one of the key aspects, and this is also included within the Microsoft 365 aspects. So for you as a trainer, you can come in and I've seen lesson plans for mathematics and in certain particular whether we are talking about STEM in general or even in the other sectors. The other key area is around modifying any aspect of existing content, and I'll get to show you a bit of how you can set up things like flashcards and so forth. As when you're this is for your teachers, and I'll show you a sample of how that process actually looks like. As a trainer, you can also come in and set up quizzes. You can set up rubrics in terms of asking questions to the students and being able to actually to get feedback from the students. Or there's this other whole aspect where you can set up what I was talking about, like information that gets shared to the students, and then when they complete, and they can be able to use this to learn by themselves. That's around Teach. Again, this is all included within this particular set of licenses. The other key area is around studying and learn, and this is one of the key aspects with AI, is bringing in capabilities where you can be able to actually create, let's say you want to create the set of flashcards, but you do not have, you only have your PDF notes or whatever it is, then you can be able to select this and then give it, create flashcards about whatever, give it specific content, and then AI will try to generate the set of the flashcards. And I'm not going to the nitty-gritties about this, but basically you can see this as a time-saving aspect, where your trainers and your teachers and the faculty that are working within your institution are able to create quizzes in a much easier and much more efficient way, giving them time now to deal with what ideally they would need to really spend time on, which is engaging with the learners and being able to actually manage various aspects about the education. Now, while I'm still on this, I'll highlight that there's a lot more that that you get with the AI aspects, whether it is around the reading coach and so forth. I'll just show you a glimpse of what you can do also further with AI, especially from an administration point of view, where you have information that is, you've collected about your students' attendance and so forth, and you'd want to analyze it without bringing in, somebody, a specialist from an IT side. You can be able to use AI and it will give you some kind of insights. Hopefully, I'll get to show you a bit of that before we conclude this walkthrough. So when I go into the apps and I go into the more apps, I know most of us might be familiar with the apps such as, you probably know Calendar. Calendar is within your Outlook. I'll quickly highlight it. Your Outlook is where you handle your email. You might be familiar with OneDrive. If you're on the Google side, this would be your Google Drive, where you have your personal notes. But you also have something called SharePoint. SharePoint allows you to set up intranets and be able to actually communicate with the rest of the organization. And I'll get to show you a glimpse about what each of these actually get to look like. And you can do things like planning if you want to plan, the organizational calendars and so forth for different teams, whether it is marketing and so forth. And there's so many other things that you're going to look at. So I'll start off by picking the Outlook. If you're probably familiar with this, the interesting thing about the Microsoft ecosystem is if you're using Microsoft, and let's say you've done the lesson plans and the lessons are supposed to be handled on Microsoft Teams, then that appears on your calendar, and within your Outlook, you're able to see, oh, you have a particular session running today at 5:30. And when you just select on it, you can say select and join. Quite straightforward. And the good thing about this set of tools is that they are all integrated. What I mentioned about the calendar, then scheduling of the calendar, and the good thing is that you're also able to see availability of different staff members, different, whether, you want to even schedule, for example, as an administrator, you want to allow parents to sort of book sessions when they're going to come for particular discussions and so forth. Then you can also use within the same Outlook, set up your calendar into what we are calling this application called bookings. And that allows, you can give this now to your parents within the school portal, and then they can come and book that they want to come in for a dedicated session to discuss about the progress of the student. And you can even have, calendars for your teachers, calendars for the administrators, and so forth. That is Outlook on a high level, quick, short, and sweet. Then you have this other, your Microsoft Word. And let's say I'm preparing a lesson plan, and I need to just see, I'm trying to gather my thoughts. I can come in and actually bring in these aspects of dictate, where I can say, let me just refresh this. Sorry, I had it open for quite some time. Give it a second. But basically what I can do is I can do what we're calling dictate. Or within dictate also, there's other capabilities such as transcribe, where I can give it an audio file and ask it to actually transcribe those notes. Also, in this case, hello, this I'm planning for my session, and I'd want to know, and basically within this dictate aspect, then we are able to actually collect and prepare for your lesson and put in the notes. Then you can bring in Copilot to help with your lesson planning. Other aspects about this is that you can also be able to bring in your students, having their own notebooks, and as they're capturing their notes, and where, especially when you are handling this within the classroom, you can even secure that other students should not see certain information, but also you publish some notes and give this out to all the students to be able to put that together. Then when I was talking about AI, there's this aspect where as a trainer, you can set up what you're calling the reading coach. And reading coach allows you to create practice sessions, which now when the students come in, they should be able to actually use that to be able to get to learn. And this now creates a whole different paradigm in terms of using technology in the classroom. When you are able to set up, the various aspects where you'd want certain students to probably, where you're having the class and they would need to come and read certain passages, or you need to bring in some videos and so forth and so forth. The other area that I wanted to quickly highlight is around being able to set up your intranet. An intranet allows you to have, a centralized place where all your students, for example, can go in to see, your staff, can be able to do remote learning, can be able to see, information about various aspects, and this then gets secured within your particular institution. And this is just one aspect. You can also use SharePoint for storing, let's say, the lesson plans that were used before, or even when you want to actually generate a set of reports, then you're able to actually use this to as a centralized repository for all the information within your institution. Besides that, as a learner, as a learner now, at the end of the day, I probably, depending on the level of the students that you have, I might want to actually come in and I want to create my flashcards. This is now personalized to me as a learner. Then, alternatively, I can come in and just say, okay, I want to actually have flashcards that will allow me to be able to learn a particular aspect. And I can say that I want to add content, upload a file. Let's see if I can select this. So let's say I had some research papers that I had downloaded earlier. Then I can select it and just say, okay, I want to actually generate flashcards that will help me to revise and understand this particular set of notes that have been given. And I can add more content. I can even give it instructions in terms of how I get to prepare. And then I just say generate. And this is now where you start seeing the power of AI bringing in, not only from the learner side, because you can also do this from a teacher side and set up quizzes, set up flashcards, and then share these within your, within your classroom. And as it probably does that, you'll see the flashcards, and then, it brings that on. Once it completes this, hopefully we'll get back to it. In this day and age, one of the key aspects that we need to also take care of is the mental health. Within the Microsoft ecosystem, then there is a solution called Reflect. And Reflect can do a lot of things in terms of getting feedback about the mood, getting the feedback about, various students if they're having a challenge. And the app itself is supposed to help, students connect with the teachers, such that you have this information, bringing in whether it is understanding, how are the students feeling, and it can be able to now be able to even aggregate information. So from an administration side, you can be able to get summaries about what is possible. And this in itself, it assists, to get responses, but also aggregate information across your entire organization or your entire school. All of these are fantastic kind of things, and all of it is, again, available within the set of solutions. I've not even touched and went into things to do with security. I think Edwin touched on it and said, education institutions are targeted. There's a lot that you can get to do around that. One key aspect that I would want to highlight, though, is around Microsoft Teams. So when we go into Teams, you can set up, various classrooms, and I have quite a number that I have set up. I wanted to go in and get to show you about mentorship and so forth, but I'll skip all that because of time. I want to go into one of the teams, and you can think of these teams as either organized by, whether it is like women in computer science, such that you're bringing in external mentors and you want to connect with your students, or you can think of it as, you have your various clubs, and the various clubs can have a centralized place where they upload, their different documents and so forth. But also within the classroom, you can have this aspect where you have, for example, the class for algebra, and you'll see, like in this one, there's a whole set of communication. When the class started, there was a form that was shared, and different teams actually gave their feedback. And then, some are congratulating the teacher, and some are saying, this is what the teacher said, and the teacher is also seeing that update. And you can think of this. I've seen institutions where teachers are having to give their phone numbers to students so that they communicate on WhatsApp. For an educational institution, if that information is sitting outside of your organization, then how do you get, if there's a next session that will be held for the same kind of class, how do you make sure that you can learn, from what communication that is being done for the various students? This in itself, you can be able to create the classroom and then bring in the set of students, and they do not need to now cram or remember this is the teacher's phone number or the lecturer's phone number, and you can have entire conversations. Plus, besides that, you can also have a central repository for where videos are uploaded for a particular course, or even be able to not only see the set of videos, but also be able to have the notes and everything that is sitting around that particular classroom within the Microsoft Teams. Again, all of this, if we started going into the nitty-gritties, I'm hoping by this time you're seeing the value of what I was highlighting in terms of there's this set of licenses, but it gives you quite a lot of value for your institution. Now, that being said, if you deal with the board, and I'll bring this as a different aspect, if you deal with your board and you need, and this one I saw especially the aspect where we talked about, some of us are representatives at administration institution level, then you might want to actually consider this solution for board management that allows you to connect your leadership team within the institution and board members, such that whether it is scheduling meetings where your board members can link up their calendars and you can get to see when they are available, or even having the set of final reports that gets shared with the board, whether they are the dashboards about how well we are doing from a side, or how well we are handling different aspects of the institution, or even showing things like enrollment, marketing, and so forth. All of that you can get to give this information to the external members who are board members, and not only bring that information about what is happening within the institution. Board members can read, comment, capture that information, and then they are able to come and guide and advise your institution. Again, many of the benefits that you get within the Microsoft ecosystem. And this is quite interesting in what you can be able to do. So I'll finish off with one key aspect around what you can do now with AI. As you're collecting this information and you're collecting the data, if you now go to the higher level license of the Copilot and bringing in, which brings in aspects of security and so forth, then you can be able to get this aspect where you can summarize information quickly, or get, if I go to one particular file, I can be able to say that I want to get a summary, or I want to listen to an FAQ and so forth. But besides that is also, if I have a set of like research documents, and I need to just get quick summaries about what is this all talking about, then the Copilot licenses now allow you to be able to get summaries of that information. But one particular use case I wanted to look at is where you have some student data, and let's see if we are able to do this live. This student data, you can assume it's coming from whatever system. It's probably given us some summaries. It's told us about the set of students, who are the teachers, the subjects that are available in the institution, the grades, as well as the attendance aspect. And you want to actually, you're thinking about this and you're saying, okay, as an administrator, I would want to understand, generate a summary of the students by gender and attendance and grades, and I won't give it a lot of context. This is just, you can think of this as my rudimentary way of, I am not an expert in doing AI kind of prompting. And when I do this, so AI goes into work, and it starts, crunching and looking at all the data that you have within this Excel sheet. And what it is trying to do is that it will try to, understand first of all what the data is looking like, and then try to generate the summaries. If I want even to go a step further and tell it to actually generate charts and so forth, then I can get to do it. And as it's doing probably that because of time, I had one that I had given almost a similar prompt, generate insights about the students in comparison by gender and attendance and grades. And what it does is it gave me this, and then I can go and say, okay, first it gave me quick summaries, but also it created an extra sheet that now gives me the scores, the scores against the different genders. It gives me, quick high level summaries, and I can also tell it, to go a step further and generate charts. This is fantastic, and it's a lot, as I've mentioned. If we were to go into the nitty-gritties about each one of them, there's a lot that comes out of the box, and that's why we are here, as a partner, to get to assist, for you to onboard and to understand what are the key benefits that you get within the Microsoft ecosystem. And it's because there's so many set of solutions, we are here to work with you and to understand, first of all, where you're starting from. If you already have a student information management system, you can continue using that, or you can consider connecting that with a core finance and accounting system. Edwin mentioned about leave management or HR management. You can do student lesson planning. You can do, calendaring about, different classrooms and how that would look like for an entire semester, for an entire term. All of that is very possible within the Microsoft ecosystem. At this particular point, I'd want to stop there and just mention that For those who are based, in the Nairobi area, we are going to be having a deep dive roundtable with some institutions. If you're interested in actually joining us for this particular engagement, you can go to the K-12 roundtable. It's going to be around the academic sector. We're also having an NPO roundtable that will be held also later in the next month or so. Plus, we are going to be having a deep dive workshop that covers these two aspects that Microsoft Elevate team get to support, within the non-profits and the K-12, which is more or less academic circles. I'll pause at this particular point, and I don't know whether there were any questions or something that, as I was moving, probably I was moving very fast. I didn't get to actually, explain in a little bit more detail, but it's great to hear any feedback or any particular set of questions that you may be having. Edwin, I'll hand over to you to, along with Salome, to probably see if there are any engagements or any questions. And feel free to give us some feedback. You can scan the QR code to get to hear.
Exactly.
We'd love to hear your feedback.
Yeah, thanks, Amos. I know it was a lot to go through, right? Like we've mentioned, we have not even scratched the surface of going into each and every of those particular tools to be able to show us, what it can be able to do with it from an in-depth perspective. But I think today was a very, very engaging and enlightening session in terms of what the A3, A5 licenses have to offer, and what the academic institutions can be able to to take advantage of. Yeah, I see Mr. Anthale is saying good job on the presentation. Yeah, so thank you so much, George, for joining, and also for the great comments. I think I just wanted to circle back to Salome and just figure out, let's say, for example, there's any institution that is on here and would want to take advantage of those particular licenses, how can they be able to do that? I don't know if Salome is there. Or maybe not. Or you can take that.
Technical challenges, yeah, probably.
Yes, probably.
But yeah, I think if you are interested in seeing further or even being able to actually explore what are the possibilities or even understand which licenses are best for you, then we are happy to engage. In fact, if you'd want for us to schedule a demo, I'll just put out a poll so that it can record I think the requests, and we'll be happy to engage. Or you can write to us on success@sibasi.ltd, and we'll be happy to engage and see how we can support from the many sets of solutions. Definitely, the licenses and everything that is available, we would be happy to be able to get support on that.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know whether was there any other question. Sometimes it's overwhelming and the many sets of tools that are available. Yeah, unless if there's no other question, probably you can give it as a minute or two. Probably, Edwin, you can just give a parting shot before as we are looking to conclude the session.
Right. I think the whole idea around today was, like I mentioned, three things. Would want to make sure that this session is engaging enough. Would like to make sure that we have educated you in terms of what is available out there that you can be able to take care of. And the other one is in terms of empowering you, right? So in terms of even our next steps, please feel free to reach out to us, right? On the QR code is on screen in terms of the webinar feedback. Let us know, what you'd want to, for us to deep dive on the next webinar, right? Because we usually do webinars on a monthly, so would want to hear from you and see, probably you are interested in, automation of business processes, or probably you are interested on, something else like the ERP and stuff like that. So for an educational institution, right? So feel free to reach out to us with the links on screen, and would be able to, either schedule a one-on-one for you, or if we find that this is an area of interest that most people are requesting for, then we can be able to now organize another webinar that then is zoned in and deep dives on this particular topic. So feel free to please engage us, and we are really grateful that you took time to join us on this particular webinar, and we're looking forward to you also. If you could find time, if you're in the area, join us for the roundtable and the workshops that we have, right? And let's continue powering our education institutions with technology. So thank you.
Fantastic. That's an amazing parting shot. Yeah, and again, I think for those who are joining us, especially from Nairobi, I know Kenya is a holiday. In other locations, I know it might not be, but we really appreciate, you taking time on a holiday to get to join us and engage with us on this particular webinar. I'm definitely looking forward to engaging more in the next one. Asante sana. Wish you a fantastic day ahead.
Right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.